My cousin just moved halfway across the country for her brand new job. And so the first thing that she asked me was, "Hey Jimmy, you want to help me with my desk setup?" Yeah, of course. How could I refuse that? So I booked a flight out to California, and that's what we're going to be doing for the next 4 days. Let's start packing. So it's one thing building a desk for myself, like the one you see right behind me, but it's another thing if I want to build one for someone else altogether. What I like technologically, functionality, and aesthetically could be completely different than what my cousin likes. I mean, just look how different my desk setup is from my wife's desk setup. And I married this person. So I really had to get to know her, not as cousins, but as desks. Or what I mean is preferences in desks. So we sent some text back and forth, and she sent me a video of this space. It was basically a blank canvas. And based on our conversations, it really seemed like she wanted something that was really natural looking with a lot of warm tones. And by that, I mean beige. She wanted beige. All right, that clearly is not very specific. What I meant to say is the goal is to go for a pretty clean look with lots of neutral and warmer tones. She already has a desk, so we can use that as our baseline. But looking at this room, it looks kind of lonely without much furniture. It almost gives off squatter vibes. So we'll be trying to flesh it out and make it feel much more homey. So I'm bringing some stuff that I had planned, but we'll also wing it a little. All right, but enough about that. I do actually have a flight to catch. After all, it's over 1,000 miles away. So I'll see all of you there. All right, we finally made it. Being back here feels oddly nostalgic. I remember just being in this room as a 5 to 7-year-old kid playing Yahoo games with my cousin on the computer. And because of that, it's nice that I get to kind of put a little bit of my own stamp on this room, since this is kind of part of my own childhood too. I know we just arrived, however, it's getting late and I kind of want to go to bed. But I want to tell you a couple things about this room before we start doing anything with it. First off, this room is absolutely massive. This room is right above a 2-car garage, and it really feels like it takes up the entire 2-door garage. The floors itself is a nice color. It has that nice, warm, natural wood tone that's really in right now. But all that's really in this room right now is my cousin's standing desk. So we really need to figure out how to populate this room over the course of the next 4 days. And also, the walls, well, they need a bit of repainting. But let's talk more about that tomorrow. All right, so I just woke up, and since we only have a few days, I really want to start thinking about how we want this room to end up. All right, so first off, this is a very large room that encompasses almost an entire 2-car garage. The closet's right there, and we have all the rest of that space on the left to plan out this space. Now, the first thing I thought about was just how absolutely massive this room was. I'm actually kind of jealous because that space would make an awesome YouTube setup. But obviously, she's not a YouTuber, so we have to figure out the best way to maximize and utilize all of this amazing space. And really, if you think about desks or work from home spaces, you don't necessarily need a significant or ginormous space, right? So what we plan to do is to basically split this space down the middle and utilize one side only for her desk setup and work from home space, and then the other side maybe for like a chill space or something else. For now, we're gonna ignore all of the blue. So what I was thinking is having this entire back wall filled with bookshelves to have a nice little area with lots of storage space. And then her desk can go right around here. As for this space in blue, I'm thinking a nice relaxing chill space. You could have like a sofa right here, a TV stand maybe intersecting and right here, along with a TV, and just maybe a coffee table right there. But really that's more secondary, and I want to more focus on this red spot over here. But I would also love to incorporate some smart home elements into this room, like some smart lights or even today's sponsor, SwitchBot. The SwitchBot Curtain 3 is a smart curtain opener that is as whisper quiet as 25 decibels during operation with quiet drift turned on, so that you can be sure that you're welcomed by some nice sunshine in the morning instead of those nuclear warnings that we call cell phone alarms. It can move a ton of curtain with the motor that has a maximum thrust of 36 pounds. Are you worried that your current curtain might not work with the Curtain 3? The SwitchBot Curtain 3 comes in 3 different variants between an I-rail, U-rail, or for curtain rods with support for a lot of different curtain types. You can add additional functionality to the Curtain 3 with separate accessories for the Curtain 3, like the SwitchBot Hub, which has support for all the major smart home platforms like Alexa, Google Home, and Apple Home, or you can get the optional Solar Panel 3, which can then power the Curtain 3 so that you never have to worry about battery life on the thing again. And if that's not enough for you, there are multiple ways to control the SwitchBot curtain, such as through voice control, close the curtains, app control, light sensor control, and through scheduled timers on the SwitchBot app. Physical installation took only a few minutes, with detailed steps outlined within the SwitchBot app. There were steps for all the different curtain types, and I was up and running very quickly. I had no trouble at all, and with the SwitchBot Curtain 3, I'm able to use my curtains without needing to touch them, letting me get control over how much light enters my room, and at the same time, I barely notice that they're there. It's pretty cool. If you're interested in the SwitchBot Curtain 3, check out the link in the video description below, and thanks again to SwitchBot for sponsoring this portion of the video. All right, with that focus in mind, for day one, we're gonna go out and shop and get the items we need to make sure this space ends up how we want it. Let's go. On day one, we spent most of it searching for accessories and other things that we can use in the office space. Things like lamps, fake plants, and random art pieces. Of course, we managed to grab the tech items we need for the smart home setup and also our desk setup portion online. So we primarily focused on getting accessories and some stuff from IKEA. Of course, we tried not to rely on IKEA too much. Oh, and we stopped to get some K-barbecue because I gotta try the awesome food while I'm here, right? So all in all, we found a nice as-is desk surface from IKEA in the as-is section and 4 of the same short Billy bookcases that we'll be using to span the back wall with bookcases. Overall, we managed to grab everything that we needed as we head into putting it all together on day 2, construction day. Day 2 was a little bit more strenuous. I spent all morning putting together all of the bookshelves while my cousin focused on painting that massive office. You can just tell how much fun I was having. It ended up taking all day to put this together. It wasn't necessarily hard, but it was just very time consuming. And we might have also snuck in some meals for more delicious food in between. In the end, we managed to get the room painted, bookshelves put together, and standing desk surface swapped out. Overall, it was a pretty productive day for both getting the room completed and filling our stomachs. But then the hardest day came, day 3. Finalizing the space. The bones of the space were at a good point now. Although we have 4 days, I need the 4th day to record B-roll of the completed space and pack my bags to leave that night. So getting everything done has to happen today. Let's start with the desk. She's going to be rocking 2 monitors mounted on monitor arms, so I picked up this Lenovo USB-C docking hub because it matched the aesthetic and allowed us to plug in her 2 monitors and 2 different devices to be used with a single USB-C cable to her laptop. This frees her from having to plug into a mess of cables every time she has to sit down and use her workspace. Then of course, we added a Grove-made desk shelf to the setup to provide some nice desk storage and hide some cables. We then grabbed a nice green desk mat to match some of the accessories she's purchased for this room. Her monitors lacked speakers and she doesn't care for audiophile quality, so we got these Creative Pebble V3 speakers in white to provide decent audio to her workspace. But while I was working on her desk, my cousin went to Costco and bought a nice large rug to add some color to the floor. From there, my cousin spent a significant amount of time trying to figure out how to lay out these wall shelves and where to put them. And with that, I was no help at all. At the same time, I worked on adding a nice Govee LED rope light that lines the entirety of this bookcase and smart bulbs into the lamps. And by late afternoon, this is how everything looked. I'll be honest, at this point, I got really tired of recording our building process, but we continued to get everything all put together up until 2 a.m. in the morning. But it was all worth it to see how it would all come together on day 4. And here's what it all looks like. This is the accumulation of all of our hard work over a week. A completed office space that fits my cousin's vibe perfectly. Because she works from home, we focused a lot on making sure she had a lot of storage space for all of her personal items, work documents, and computer peripherals. Her desk is right close to the bookcase with just enough room to adjust the height on the standing desk without hitting the bookcase, while giving her a little bit of extra storage space thanks to the first shelf in the bookcase. On top of the bookcase, near the desk, we put a nice pegboard to hold extra supplies and to hold all of the different charging cables that she has for her tech. She already had some pretty good peripherals between her 2 Lenovo ThinkVision monitors, her trusty C920 Logitech webcam, and she's using a Logitech MX Master 3 and MX keys at the suggestion of some YouTuber named Jimmy. But there's also a lot of new additions too. The desk now has a Grove-made desk shelf in solid maple and some of their matching light desk trays. These come in different sizes but fit perfectly with this vibe while providing extra storage space on an otherwise empty desk, and that Lenovo USB-C dock I mentioned before fits in perfectly with all this white and silver around her desk while keeping her cables hidden in the back for cable management. Since she has an iPhone, AirPods, and an Apple Watch, you know charging cables would be messy. So instead, I went with my usual go-to, this no-name Amazon charging pad. It charges all of her devices at once while looking good on the desk. As for the egg-shaped Pebble speakers, I originally had my doubts about them since it was my first time using these in a setup like this, but they sounded surprisingly decent given the size and low price. If you look beneath the desk, you'll find almost no cables, except this single one being rounded away. This is the power cable for the power strip, and that's because the power strip is mounted to the bottom of this desk. I also took time to cable manage all of her cables to make sure that it wasn't building a nest underneath her desk. Lastly, she's using a Steelcase Leap office chair with a stuffed animal head of Miffy. The girl really likes Miffy if you couldn't tell. But enough about the desk, let's talk about her bookcase wall as well, because this wall really elevates this space and has some really interesting tech in it. We bought a bunch of random accessories at IKEA, Target, and Marshalls to make the space feel lived in, while at the same time prove you don't have to spend a ton of cash to make a space look nice. But this little wooden knob for the bookcase was one of the nicer finds. It's from Home Depot, but adds to the whole natural beige aesthetic. Probably the last thing you expected out of Home Depot. We struggled figuring out how to organize the wall shelves, but they ended up looking great above the bookcases. But don't think I forgot about the smart home stuff. We added some LifeX lines to the opposite wall of her desk to provide some nice ambiance when she's on video calls. Then we added a lamp with the Philips Hue smart bulb and Govee LED light strip to the back to provide some nice ambient glow during the day and especially at night. This space looks great at night. And the best part, they're all smart home controllable. There's been a lot of successes with this space, but I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the struggles or items we could have improved on as well. Cable management wise, I think I did okay, but wish I had more time to really fine tune it. There's still cables behind the Grove-made stand, and the Vivo monitor arms look great in white, but since most cables for monitors are black, they stick out and are a little difficult to manage with this particular monitor stand. All the smart lighting looks great in person, but by using a bunch of different smart light brands, they're never exactly the same color. In person, they look pretty similar, but on video, you can tell that some of them are a little cooler and some of them are a little bit warmer. But overall, I think the desk setup ended up fantastic. My cousin is super happy with it, she's been enjoying it a lot, and I'm thoroughly impressed that we managed to get so much done in basically 3 or so days. But you know, there's a lot more work to be done here. A whole half room full of work. But maybe that's for another video.